the other panelists to come on stage. Professor P.V.G.D. Prasad Reddy, Vice-Chancellor, Andhra University. It's not inside the hall. So, Professor D.N. Rao, co-founder and Vice President, Centurion University of Technology and Management. A round of applause. Dr. G. Pardha Saradhi Varma, Vice-Chancellor, KL University. Deepak Garg, Vice-Chancellor, SR University. A round of applause for him. Raquel Schroff, Global CEO Chairperson, Indian Career Education and Development Council. Welcome, ma'am. Venkatraman Umakant, Senior Vice President and Head of Hire Me. Dr. Balakrishna Shetty, Pro-Chancellor, Malla Reddy University. Is also not in the hall. Okay, so before I call on the keynote speaker, we have this panel on new age skilling and fostering the academia industry government collaboration for an employable workforce. So the morning sessions have focused on if we see the entire skilling ecosystem as a triangle with 2 points. Two of the 3 points have sort of been discussed in the morning session. The policymakers from the government side and the industry side, the HRs from different organizations. Now it's the turn of the third point of the triangle, the academia. And here what we would like to focus from the academicians present here is one, when we are talking from the morning about skillable workforce. I would like to understand from each of you is what exactly are the criteria or parameters on which you define new age skilled workforce, basically. How is it different from the earlier legacy skills, if I may mention? Then we would like to talk about your expectations from the industry and where you see the lacuna still exists in terms of enough industry support in terms of whatever, be it modernizing the curriculum or having more labs or concept centers in institutions or whatever else you think. And maybe we would like to conclude with a sort of a future roadmap that each of you would suggest. So before you start, I would request Meenu Sarawgi. She's the Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy and Operation Automotive Skills Development Council to present her perspective on this topic. Over to you.
I have a presentation.
Oh, there's a presentation.
Yeah, good afternoon all. Thank you first the AP government and APAC team to host this and give us this opportunity. The stage is all set by, we already had this discussion that even Dr. Chintala said this, that reducing the skill gaps is a continuous process. And it has to be set and it has to be started from the collaboration between academia, industry and government. This is where the topic comes actually. Next slide, please. See, if we talk about the skill gaps in auto industry, so as I come from the Automotive Skill Development Council, if I talk specifically on automotive, which is we are talking about the connected cars and the autonomous cars, the latest being the electric vehicle technologies, the AI, connected cars. Also, we cannot actually have the soft skills. Can you just... That's not there. Yeah. So we cannot leave the soft skills part, which is actually important when we talk about the technical, in addition to the technical skills which we talk, which may be missing even in the academia. So these are the current skill gaps which I can say in the automotive and also definitely in some other industries also. So what can we do to reduce these skill gaps? So one is strengthening education, so which is the curriculum which we are doing for the academia has to be industry aligned. And industry collaborations in terms of, you can talk about the industry expert sessions, you can talk about the on-the-job trainings where we can, industry and academia can collaborate to reduce these skill gaps. Also the effectiveness of the training and the continuous upskilling and reskilling, what we were talking right now about, which has to be done. So when we talk about the continuous efforts for academia and industry and government collaborations, we need to have specialized training programs or maybe the upskilling courses for academia, colleges and university to bridge those gaps. And also the apprenticeship, which also we were talking in the first half about having 7 lakhs plus apprenticeship after the launch of scheme NAPS. So in fact, I would just like to highlight for Automotive Skill Council, we have already above 1.5 lakhs contracts for apprenticeship, which shows the importance of skilling. Also the policy development part where the government plays a crucial role in formulating policies that support skill development. The continuous upskilling and reskilling which we were talking about, this has to be done with academia and the centers in collaboration with industries. I'll just give a background for ASDC, and this comes where as a sector skill role, actually the main role of a sector skill council is to bridge the gap between academia, industry and government. So as ASDC is already supported by the Association for Component Manufacturers, the Original Equipment Manufacturers, and the Dealership Associations. We are also supported by the 3 central ministries, Ministry of Heavy Industries, Ministry of Skill Development, and Ministry of Road Transportation. If you see the vision for ASDC, which is making skills aspirational and integrated with academic pathways. So this is already integrated with our vision. The skill certificate which we were talking about, actually, so if we see a person actually aspire for an IIT certificate or an IIM certificate, that's where we need to make the skill certificate aspirational. And this only can be done by integrating this with academic pathways. These are the major roles which ASDC takes, which can be starting from the courses, the faculty development, the placement part also, and the actual training. I'll just skip this. This is an important point which I may want to highlight. So if I talk about the key industry engagement models we talk about, it is strengthening skill infrastructure. So in the colleges and universities itself, we should be actually upgrading the infrastructure in the terms of setting up lab for the future skills like electric vehicle technology, robotics, automation. And rather than setting up a separate center where the candidates or the students of the universities and colleges can get benefited by upskilling those courses there, where the skill gaps actually gets bridged and the industry actually get a skilled candidate. This also has the international skill linkages where we actually working for international placements also. And as I said, skilling for the future skills, which includes the electric vehicle, autonomous car, connected cars. We have around 140 courses already approved through NCVET, which consist of 25 future skills from robotics to smart manufacturing, And if you see the 4 courses on the right side which I have shown, these are the special courses only for universities and colleges. These are upskilling courses in the latest future skills, if you can see, and these are creditized, where we talk about the national education policy and the national credit framework. So these courses are actually giving 2 credits for the students. And these, we are also coming up with 10 additional courses on this. Just few examples talking about the collaborations. These are the ITI candidates getting trained and getting on-the-job training with Tata Motors. This has around 20% inclusion, gender inclusion. So this is what the model we are talking about, the academia and industry collaborations. These candidate gets placed at Tata Motors. This is again a program we have implemented right here in Kakinada Smart City, Andhra Pradesh. This again is on the future skills electric vehicle. This also had around 50% women inclusion. This is again a project we are doing at Himachal Pradesh. This also has a part of on-the-job training where the candidates are getting trained at the dealerships and then finally getting absorbed there. These are all the examples where I'm talking about the academia and industry partnerships. Now, coming to the ecosystem which we need to actually get ready for these partnerships. The first is the lab infrastructure, which I was talking about. So the lab should be upgraded for the universities and the colleges, and also the faculty development programs. Because until and unless the faculty is actually trained for the future skills, the gap will not be bridged. This is a program which actually we did with the ITI instructors, industry experts, and university professors. This was scaling them up on the technical and pedagogical skills, on all the future skills, robotic weldings, electric vehicle technology, robotics and automation. This is again, we did one right here in Andhra Pradesh. This was for robotics welding technologies, and this is again a faculty development program at industry. This was again implemented at industry. Last but not the least, I would like to put a point: when we talk about academia, we talk only about university and colleges. But why not schools? I think the skilling starts right in the young minds. The importance of skilling to the school students. That's where we launched our National Automobile Olympiad in 2022. And we had the second phase in 2023. The finale was at Delhi in December. We'll be launching the third phase in June 2024. I think the candidates or the students at the young minds in the school level should understand the importance of skilling, and hence the skill gap which we're talking about will be bridged because it will be a continuous process. Thank you so much.
Please sit. Thanks, Meenu. So now I'll come to our first panelist, Professor D.N. Rao. And my question is, when we are talking about these new gen technologies, and in these new gen technologies, what are the criteria on which you qualify a skilled workforce? So what are, how will a skilled workforce be defined vis-a-vis these new gen technologies?
Yeah, the new gen technologies, Centurion at least has been started working from post-COVID actually, right? Okay. One basis we're looking at it is that most new gen technologies are digital based. So the first basic platform for any new gen technology is digital, whether it is life sciences, whether it is automotive, or whether it is design or anything, right? And if students have to be really good in new gen technologies, it's not a project based or a application based training will not be sufficient. And most new gen companies, mostly startups and all, recruit through hackathons nowadays, actually. So the students should be able to actually make a prototype that is perhaps deployable. For example, let's say I'm working on an Unreal or Unity AR/VR solution, or a Dreamweaver or a Maya kind of a solution, I must have the students' capability to the extent that the guy is able to make a 3D asset, texture it properly, and be able to upload it into a marketplace of either Unity or other kind of thing. So you need to be able to make your students link themselves to the global marketplace. So in software, the guy should be able to write a code, he can upload it into a GitHub profile. Today, a lot of people are recruiting from looking at the profile of the student on the GitHub or in Kaggle for, let's say, data analytics course and all that. So it is, you have to link the students, not your professors, but you have to link the students and professors to the out there world, where there is a marketing and, market out there. And they have to be ready for that market.
So primarily, making the students digitally proficient should be one guiding criteria. Thanks. Deepak, I'll come to you next with the same definition. How would you feel, or what are the criteria on which you would define the skilled workforce, skilled in, conversant in new gen technologies?
Thank you, Dave. So I will just go back 5 to 6 years back when we launched a new initiative called leadingindia.ai, and we trained around 1 million students in artificial intelligence. And I am here to say that APSSDC was one state which made it compulsory for all their affiliated institutions to be part of that initiative. It was also sponsored by Royal Academy of Engineering in UK, and also AICT and UGC, and as well as Niti Aayog. So we were doing the skilling from that time, and now I am also looking at SR University, which is a young university in Telangana, and we are trying to transform the whole definition of higher education. I think the basic fundamental is that, let us say your pass-out student is sitting with people from other domains. So whether he is able to converse with them on different technologies. For example, if he is an auto engineer, whether he can talk to people who are sitting on the stage, who are computer scientists, who are mechanical engineers, who are civil engineers or other engineers. Similarly, when even now we are talking about only computer science, which is now kind of all universities are having around 40-50% of their students in computer science. So students are able to talk about full life cycle of the technology. For example, when we are saying that if they want to develop an AI application, then they cannot only talk about Python knowledge. They cannot only talk about some server knowledge or some system knowledge or some integration knowledge or some database knowledge. So they should have at least some understanding of all these components plus a deep down expertise and hands-on on one component.
Okay, so a more holistic knowledge with the business use cases apart from the specific technologies. Okay. I'll come back to you later. Next, Raquel, I'll come to you. From your experience, how do you see the transition of this new, of these skilled workforce conversant in these new gen technologies?
I think there's a lot of research about the future of work that's being done. And I think the nature of work itself has changed. So we can work from anywhere. There's remote work, there's sort of gig work, there's project-based fly-out work. So I think that's the first thing to be cognizant of. The nature of work has changed. Therefore, the kind of people that we need is different to maybe when we left school and finished college and we started working. So from our experience with the work we're doing in Andhra Pradesh, especially, compared to other states, I've seen there's still a very disproportionate number of students in school after class 10 who choose what they call BPC and MPC type of subjects. Whereas when we come to forums like this, Andhra Pradesh is moving in the direction of, say, renewable energy, and there's climate change and climate action and electric vehicles and all of that. So there's clearly a mismatch right there happening at the bottom of the pyramid in the school system. So I think when we talk about skills, most people refer to the vocational skills, including my fellow panelists. But I believe it's time now to focus on transferable skill sets,
Okay.
which actually can be developed only in the formative years in school, as part of the teaching, learning and assessment that already happens in school. So skills literacy must begin at the school level, where students need to understand that by way of doing various activities which are curriculum-based and co-curricular and extracurricular, you're developing things like critical thinking, communication, collaboration and creativity, which is needed across different occupation and job levels, not only in India but across the world.
Okay.
So I think we need to strengthen that foundation and bring in skills literacy along with language learning and numeracy, which happens at the school, so that the transition
Is easier.
students from school to vocational, higher education, and workforce is one seamless continuum. And I think that is the systemic change that needs to happen.
Okay, great. A different point of view on basically foundational level skills literacy starting from schools. Venkat, I'll come to you next again from an industry perspective. How is your experience on how would you define a new gen trained skilled workforce? How would you define that person?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I sort of really like the points that both of you share, because I certainly believe that these foundation skills are very important, because there's a lot of buzz going around about tech, and almost in every forum we talk about tech and tech. But when we talk about new age technologies, what we got to remember is the way learning is happening today has to shift. If you look at earlier, there was a thing about the T model. Right? Today, the T is sort of transformed into a core model. Right? So there are a lot of areas where you need to have a basic awareness, but you still got to be good in your core domain. Because if you look at any of the new age technologies like AI or robotic process automation, without the knowledge of the domain, the technology cannot be sort of leveraged much. Right? So I think that is fundamental. And if I have to give, probably just spend a few seconds on HireMe as well, what we do, because it connects with this. HireMe is actually a social enterprise which we offer a free assessment, which is AI proctored, by the way. And one of the things, we started this about 7 years back. We don't test students only on aptitude. Right? We test them on aptitude, the basis the psychometric test, and the domain as well. Right? And what is key here is the whole idea, the ethos was to identify talents from remote parts of India. Because while in the morning also we heard a lot of corporates starting to move to tier 2, tier 3, it's going to be limited. But talent could be there anywhere. So we sort of assess them and provide the pre-assessed pool to the corporates so that it's easy for them to spot talent and hire. Right? So what we have found here is, even if from my own experience when I used to go to hiring even from tier 1, tier 2 colleges to now when I see on the HireMe platform, when it looks at these soft skills or the professional skills, I would say, communications of course there, which could differ based on where you come from. But the other aspects like problem solving. And what I personally believe is problem solving definitely is one important area, but problem definition is even more big.
Exactly.
Right? So those are the skills which are probably not being taught right in the school days, as Rajneesh mentioned. Those are very critical, because even in the organization we see, while if I want to get somebody skilled on AI or RPA, I can put them on a training and they'll get it. But how can I make that person think? It's extremely difficult. Communication is there, but of course these areas are much more difficult.
Identifying the business use case itself is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, just a couple of days back, I was part of the academic council meeting for a P.V.G.D university, and they were trying to bring in a new curriculum where they said we will probably include a bit of design thinking. I said design thinking is good, but personally where I feel the gap is on systems thinking. Are we able to connect the dots, think about the larger picture? Because anything that we're looking at is like immediate. Can we get some immediate results? So, which is good in the short run, but in the long run, we can do this.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I'll come back again to D.N. Rao, and my question now from an academician perspective, where do you think the gap with the industry is lying in terms of industry and academia mutually helping each other in creating that skilled workforce? From an academician perspective, where do you feel is a gap?
Yeah, industry thinks academia is numbers. Okay. Most industry thinks very low of academia. This is what is my introduction with almost 80 industries I do regularly. And academia thinks industry, has no holistic view. So these are two compartments which not only are not able to talk, but sometimes there's a huge resistance to talk. Okay, so it's a big communication problem that we have when we try to take a faculty or even a student to industry. Both sides, I've seen, and one time now I'm telling all the industry now is that please don't underestimate the academia, right? Okay, because there's a lot of underestimation of what academia can do in solving world-class problems. Let's even take, most of the software that is given by even OEMs like Dassault or AWS, anybody know. It is dumbed down version for academia. And it is students and faculty don't need commercial versions, right? And the commercial version capability is 100 times more than academia version, because essentially they think, ठीक है, बच्चों को training देना है, faculty कुछ करेगा, that kind of thing. So that's attitude first of all is an issue, and to bring both of them together and get that mutual respect that yes, academia also can solve industry problems. And industry can also teach and make things, make the students learn. So there is this whole thing that academia thinks that, industry doesn't understand academia problems, student quality issues. Every university is facing student input issues, right? So faculty say, okay, this is the input I'm getting. How do you expect me to get them industry ready in 2 or 3 years? And stuff like that. So I am finding that this communication problem between academia and industry, followed by their own perceptions of what academia is and what industry is. This is a major problem today, I can see.
Okay, thanks. So what you are raising is a very pertinent, and that lot of this gap exists because there is a certain misplaced notion, perhaps more from the industry side about academia, and in terms of their updated knowledge, if I may say. I'll come to you, Deepak, with the same question. From an academician perspective, where do you see this gap? The reason, and more important, is how do you sort of mitigate the challenges coming out of that reason? So how do you do that?
So actually, years back also we were talking about the same industry academia gap, and I think it will remain. Only the degree can change, because there is a way to groom engineers. Means you are not there to focus on a particular industry. In computer science itself, or in any engineering or other areas, there are hundreds of industries. You cannot prepare ready-made thing for every one of them. You can only make people ready for a overall requirement of industry. And the other thing, just taking forward what other speakers said, that most of the industries now who are coming up with their academic products, they are coming up with their P&L statement. So now they look for per student costs for their products. So especially for the institutions in many states where there is a cap on the fee even that you can charge from students. you can only get on board one or two vendors across the whole spectrum of industries, because all have become business oriented. So there are very few, there are exceptions who are coming to academia with a real cause to serve the higher education system in the country. And the third thing is that, like what my other speaker said, that we have to make our students learn how to learn. You cannot make them ready for everything, but they should be very quickly able to pick up wherever they go, in whichever industry they go. So if we can inculcate the habit into them of lifelong learning, there are ways
Okay.
how you can do it, then I think that will be a more better than serving each industry separately.
Okay, so that's a very fundamental issue, if I may say. So Raquel, I'll phrase this differently. You heard both the industry and academia, and there seems to be a lot of gaps still, and what he mentioned that the gap has always been there, maybe the magnitude just changes. So what do you think are the solution, rather than just stating the challenge? How does that collaboration happen more seamlessly and more productively, more importantly?
I think one is lack of awareness. So if you go into, let's say, even schools like teachers or faculty at higher ed or vocational, there will be very few of them who understand the labor market needs or changing nature of various growth industries and factors that will influence this. What are the disruptive factors and how to future forecast what's likely to happen. So one is, I think, at the school level, with teachers, we need to train them on how to access or how to become aware of the job market. So whether you're teaching science or you're teaching social studies, you need to understand, one, what skills you're imparting to the students through your subject, and two, how is that subject connected to the job market? So if I'm good in maths, like what can I do? If I like geography, what can I do? What sort of careers are linked to that? So I think that the awareness has to be created, and the same goes with higher education. I've heard that there is now the professor of practice, where you can hire people from industries who can teach. So I think that's another way in which you could foster deeper collaboration, but starting at the school level. And then there are digital tools available right now where students, parents, as well as teachers can understand the job market. So from school days, you know what you need to do to prepare for the changing world of work. And I believe the most important skill set is learnability and adaptability, because everything will change so fast. And if we can focus on that, from the formative years, I think we will see a more agile and more productive workforce.
Thanks. In fact, one of the earlier sessions we heard one of the industry persons talking about their engineering and R&D leadership going for now teaching. So maybe measures or initiatives like this can help bridging this gap to a certain extent. Venkat, I'll come to you. Your prescription for this gap to become closer.
So the positive side is obviously there's a lot of change which is happening, a lot more collaboration happening. There's a lot more application-oriented learning. That's the reason you see organizations doing this hackathon, so that people can actually see how they are able to apply those knowledge what they've acquired. Those are the positive sides. But fundamentally, if you look at it, in my view, from either a school or a college, are we making this job of a faculty or a professor lucrative? Is something which is something that we have to think about.
Okay.
Right? Because in my experience, what I've seen is a lot of people actually do not get into a teaching profession by choice. They go in because there's no other choice. They finish in engineering, they do their MTech or ME in the same college, and they end up as a professor. So they have no industry background which is there. The other aspect that we personally tried as well in my organization is, because there's always a demand-supply gap, there were some academic institutions that, okay, we would actually need exposure. Said, okay, we will give you a project. We gave the project, they took it, initially all the things were there, but they were not able to commit on the timeline. What was supposed to be done 3 months, 9 months, still not done. Right? It's because there is no incentive for them to do it, because there's so many other things to do. So I think that is a systemic thing that needs to be done. That's why I was saying the system thinking is so important. We need to see where the problem lies. One, of course, example, even China. The reason they were able to attract a lot of talent in the B schools, even from the US, even from Harvard and Stanford, is because they have made it so lucrative. And if you look at IIMs also, they're struggling to get good faculty.
Yeah, very practical point on the systemic incentivization, that's so critical here. Okay, so I'll do a quick round with each of the panelists, and this is the last round. 30 seconds to each panelist. When we are talking about fostering this collaboration better, one initiative, only one initiative which you feel either you are planning to take or which should be taken on a priority basis immediately. 30 seconds to each of you. I'll start with you, Meenu.
As I already said in my presentation also, so to bridge the gap actually, so if I take an example of ITIs also, we need to do is connect the industry with the ITIs for the lab accreditation and the faculty development so that they can have the future skills right there, and that skill gap is bridged and they become more employable.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, one thing that worked for Centurion is presenting win-win problem-solving solutions to industry. And we have been able to do that across many industries, and that seems to be working for us.
Okay, thank you. That's a more practical.
I think one thing we are doing is micro-credentialing, where the industry certifications and industry credentials on like platforms like Coursera, edX, etc. are being given. And second is we have enabled our curriculum so students can go to the internship even from the 5th semester onwards, so 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So if the industry is ready to give them internship, then that is the best way they are learning. That is really required by the industry, and they are also absorbed by the same industry.
Okay, thank you. Rakul.
We're actually already doing an initiative in Andhra Pradesh. We've taken up a pilot of 100 schools across 5 districts.
Okay.
We're trying to connect schools into the skills ecosystem. And I think the transformation that we're trying to bring in is help students understand their own identity, who they are, also understand the community and labor market needs, and develop the transferable skills that you need to thrive in a world that's ever changing.
Just here, who are doing the training?
So we train the teachers because if you want to bring in systemic change,
So
you
school
have to
level,
mainstream
yes.
it. And it can't be nice to have after class. It has to be part of the existing
True.
model. So the change is, bringing in competencies, improving the competencies of the teachers. And giving them digital tools so that it can be part of the teaching, learning and assessment framework that's already existing. So it's a plug-and-play model. It's curriculum agnostic or board agnostic. It can work in any type of school, but we're working with the government schools in 5 districts. And so we're bringing in the world of work into schools and upskilling the teachers as well as in due course of time the parents as well. So that they're part of the ecosystem, and students will be able to make better informed choices on what they want to do when they leave school. So it's identity, skill development, and integrated approach.
Okay, thank you. You have the last word, literally.
So from a highway perspective, one, as I mentioned, we offer an employability test which is available for anybody to use. And so far, about 7 lakh students have taken that, and almost 1 in 3 have got calls from corporates as well, because we sort of bring in the corporates as well. As I said, we identify the talent and take it to the corporates. What we also do, to your point, Vikal, is we also have a career readiness assessment which helps students understand what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what industry, what kind of job roles they might prosper better at. So that's something we have. And we are closely working with the Tamil Nadu government as well. The non-Mudalvan, we are a primary partner, assessment partner. So last year about 83,000 students took the assessment. And this year, looking at that success, they said we would have 2 assessments done, because apparently in the 5th semester they have they call it as a interview skilling or some, I don't remember the exact term, they prepare them for the placement. So what we recommended is we take 1 assessment before that training, and we take 1 after the training. The student takes 1 after the training, so that they're able to see if there is a difference and take corrective actions as well. So that's something we will start.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we conclude this panel discussion. And before we disperse, I would like to request Mr. MKV Srinivasulu, CEO of CDAP, to come on stage and hand over a small token of appreciation to each of the panelists. Can we have the... Venkatraman Umakant. May I request the panelists to